Wine, particularly red wine, has sparked decades of debate in both medical and cultural circles, hailed by some as a health tonic and condemned by others as a gateway to addiction and chronic disease. Its alcohol content has made it a controversial presence in dietary discussions, especially with growing awareness of the dangers of excessive drinking. However, science has painted a far more nuanced picture of wine, especially when consumed in moderation and within the context of an otherwise healthy lifestyle. Far from being a mere indulgence, moderate red wine consumption may offer unique health advantages, particularly due to its rich polyphenolic content, including the much-studied compound resveratrol. The origins of the so-called French paradox brought wine into the spotlight. This phenomenon, observed in the 1990s, referred to the surprisingly low rates of heart disease in French populations despite their relatively high intake of saturated fats. One of the hypothesized contributors was regular, moderate wine consumption, particularly with meals, which appeared to have a protective cardiovascular effect. Since then, multiple studies have explored the potential mechanisms behind this observation, and while the story is more complex than initially thought, the evidence still supports a heart health benefit from moderate red wine intake in certain populations. Central to these benefits is red wine's abundance of plant-derived compounds called polyphenol. These include flavonoids, tannins, catechins, and most famously, resveratrol. These compounds originate from the grape skins and seeds, which remain in contact with the juice during red wine fermentation, making red wines significantly richer in polyphenol than white wines. Resveratrol, in particular, has been shown in lab and animal studies to exert anti-inflammatory, antioxidant, and even anti-aging effects. It's thought to activate certain longevity-related genes, such as SIRT1, enhance mitochondrial function, and help reduce oxidative damage to blood vessels. Polyphenol in red wine also support vascular health by improving endothelial function, the ability of blood vessels to dilate and contract properly. They may help reduce the oxidation of LDL cholesterol, a key step in plaque formation, inhibit platelet aggregation, lowering clot risk, and promote healthy blood pressure regulation. This helps explain why moderate wine drinkers in some epidemiological studies show a lower incidence of cardiovascular events such as heart attacks and strokes compared to non-drinkers or heavy drinkers. Beyond heart health, moderate red wine consumption has been linked in some observational studies to improved insulin sensitivity, reduced risk of type 2 diabetes, and lower markers of chronic inflammation. These effects likely stem not only from the polyphenol but from the synergistic interactions between the alcohol itself and these bioactive compounds. Low levels of alcohol have been shown to modestly raise HDL, good cholesterol, improve blood flow, and help reduce fibrinogen levels, a clot-promoting protein. However, the key here is low to moderate levels, usually defined as up to 1 glass per day for women and up to 2 for men. Importantly, wine's place in the diet matters just as much as its content. In cultures where red wine is consumed regularly, it is often enjoyed with meals, accompanied by whole foods, shared socially, and consumed mindfully. This integration into a balanced dietary and lifestyle pattern, like the Mediterranean diet, is a major reason why wine may be beneficial in these populations. It's not about drinking wine in isolation or excess, but rather about using it to complement an overall healthy, plant-rich, nutrient-dense way of eating. Another overlooked benefit of moderate wine consumption is psychological and social. Sharing a glass of wine during a meal can encourage slower eating, mindful conversation, and reduce stress, all of which have tangible health impacts. When part of a ritual rather than a habit, wine can add joy, promote relaxation, and serve as a cultural bridge that brings people together. Still, it's critical to acknowledge the risks that come with overconsumption. Alcohol, even in small amounts, is a known carcinogen and a contributor to liver disease, addiction, and mental health disorders when misused. For individuals with a history of substance abuse, liver issues, or certain medical conditions, the risks of wine outweigh any potential benefits. For pregnant individuals or those on certain medications, any alcohol is contraindicated. It's also worth noting that the health benefits of wine do not justify starting to drink if one doesn't already do so. The same polyphenol can be found in grapes, berries, pomegranates, and tea, without the risks that alcohol carries. For those who do choose to enjoy wine, quality matters. Organic, biodynamic, or naturally fermented wines tend to have fewer additives and sulfites, and often retain more of the beneficial compounds due to gentler processing methods. Red wines such as Pinot Noir, Cabernet Sauvignon and Malbec are particularly high in resveratrol and other antioxidants. Drinking wine slowly, with food, and as part of a deliberate routine helps maximize benefits while minimizing downsides. In the end, wine, especially red wine, represents a case where context and moderation are everything. It's not a miracle drug, nor is it a poison in itself. When used with respect, knowledge, and balance, red wine can play a small but meaningful role in a healthy, joyful lifestyle. Science continues to support its value, not just for the heart, but for the human experience, when consumed wisely and in harmony with a whole food, mindful approach to living.